Steven.
Kevin.
David.
With our powers combined, we are the
Brothers Board.
By the power of podcasting,
We have the power.
All right, welcome back to the Brothers Born podcast. What's
Oh
up,
yeah.
y'all? So I wasn't here for the last recording. You guys talked about something. Parenting?
Yes. So for those who don't know, I don't know when this is getting released, but found out I'm going to be a father here shortly, a couple months. And so I thought I'd ask, since David is the oldest, I thought he might have some sagely wisdom for me as far as giving advice on parenting. So I asked him for some questions. He gave me a little bit of recommendations, things that's worked with his kid. Maybe I should do the same thing with you. Actually, I can get sagely wisdom from both of my brothers.
Yeah. That's true, and my kids are way cooler than his for sure. Although he has more of them, so he probably has better experience as far as parenting goes.
He has 5, you have 2, so I'll have just the one. But yeah, I don't know. And really quick, do you have any sagely wisdom to offer your little brother at this time of his life?
Sagely wisdom as far as parenting. The only thing I can say with that goes is like you do have to realize that your children are going to be who they are, and they're going to like what they want, and you can't force them to like the same things you do.
Dang it.
As much as I would love for my daughter to be like into Star Wars, she's not. My son is, however, so I guess there's that.
That's the thing I'm most concerned about. I mean, them going to college, being successful human beings, not important. Liking the same things I like.
Exactly.
That's important.
Because you got such sage advice from David, I figured we should continue the parenting discussion, but let's take it a little bit of a different route. There's a lot of famous, well-known fictional parents.
Okay.
And I figure why don't we talk about some of our favorite fictional character parents? Good and bad. For example, Darth Vader, not really a great parent, but technically he's a parent.
Actually, Star Wars is kind of chock full of bad dads, isn't it? Like,
I don't know. Maybe. I mean,
Emperor Palpatine, I know he's like a grandfather situation. He's not good either. For Rey.
I don't know how that works out. But no, there's some pretty good parents in there. Although Hera Syndulla from Rebels, her dad's kind of he's like leads this rebellion on their planet Ryloth, and he kind of started taking his fight or the Empire more like putting more importance on that than like his own daughter's interests.
Or even like, I mean, I guess you don't really go into Han Solo's parenting, but it seems like they had their fair share of issues too, with Ben. But
it's true. But I don't know. There's not a whole lot of going on in parenting Star Wars wise, but there are some cool parents. I personally like the parents in Phineas and Ferb.
Okay.
Linda and Lawrence.
They're pretty cool.
So they're like a mixed family. Ferb is.
Oh, they're blended. They're a blended family.
Yeah, it's a blended family.
Okay, cool.
But they're kind of cool, just because like when you watch the show, they do a lot of really like just bizarre things.
Now, remind me, it's the two Phineas and Ferb, and they have a sister, right?
Yeah, Candace.
And what's a sister? Phineas's sister or Ferb's sister? As far as like, okay, so like she's the older sister, and she's always trying to catch him doing stuff.
Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
Okay, just trying to make sure. I haven't watched it in a long time.
But the parents just crack me up because like the show's mainly focused on the kids, but once in a while they'll like throw in a scene of the parents just doing something wacky and weird. There's like one where you see like the dad's like spinning this tube around. It's connected to like this weird hat thing that the mom's wearing. And she's like, hey, you're right. It does sound like a spaceship. You're just like, what are they even doing right now?
That's awesome.
I don't understand what they're doing.
That's super cool.
the mom's really funny. Like Candace comes and grabs her out of the shower. She's like, "Well, it's a good thing I picked today to wear my bicycle helmet in the shower." It's just like really bizarre people.
Then they
But they're
got
also
smart kids, so
yeah, they're also good parents. Like they care about their children. Um, like they're always supportive of them. Well, yeah, and they're like supportive of them, and I don't know, they're cool parents.
yeah, I'd say so. I think I don't really. I've only watched a couple episodes, but I have watched a couple episodes. Stephanie likes the show. Lorelai Gilmore comes to mind from Gilmore Girls. Um, she is like a single mom, and she really looks out for her kid. She sacrifices a lot. She works works a lot of hours. She gets her daughter. Well, she doesn't actually. Her mother gets her into like this private school so she can get a good education. Teaches
Yeah,
her the value of homework and like I don't know. They kind of it's the interesting thing. They kind of have it's she's the mom. In a little few episodes I've watched anyway, but they do kind of have like this. This might happen with single parents. I don't know, but they kind of have like a friendship too going on. Like she's still the mom, but they like do a lot of stuff together. It's just two of them. So like they're like I don't know. The daughter's sort of involved in her mom's dating life, which is like that's a little odd, but I guess in that particular family dynamic, that might be. I mean, it's a fictional show, but maybe that's how it goes.
yeah,
But she comes to my mind. I like. I'm not the biggest fan of Gilmore Girls, but I she is. It's pretty popular, and you know, good mom in that show for sure. I'm not sure if you've ever watched Gilmore Girls or not.
no, that is definitely not my thing. Um, nor is it my wife's thing. Tasha's not really into Gilmore Girls as far as I know.
Well,
So no,
it's
I'm
I
not
mean I'm not
familiar.
like so during the pandemic we're like oh let's what are we gonna watch? She got me on like we kind of did this thing where I would show her something I grew up watching, then she'd show me something she grew up watching. That was one on hers, and we both decided also at the same time we'd watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So we watched a few episodes of that. Um, that's kind of it's kind of hokey now. It's kind of dated, but it's still fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean it's all right. It's all right. I don't know. I'm trying to think of some other good like parenting fictional parent, but also there's also some bad ones. You have like what is it? Oh, like Tron Legacy. That's kind of a weird thing. Like the guy, Flint goes into like the computer and gets stuck there forever. So his
Oh
kid
yeah,
grows up not knowing like what happened to his dad. And then he goes in there and kind of meets him. That was kind of a weird dynamic.
yeah, for sure. Like I don't remember exactly, but was it intentional? Like, did he mean to get stuck there?
No,
Because
he got stuck in it because he created Clue, who was like the like a program that was helping him out, and then Clue became like more self aware and decided to take over like the virtual world himself. So he like trapped um the real life guy there, but he like trapped him there, so he was stuck in there, and his kid never he just never came back home one day,
huh?
and so his son was like. Spent like most of his life like wondering whatever happened to his dad, and then he gets stuck in the computer. He's like, "Oh yeah, there's my dad now." So I mean,
That's hard. Like, but he was stuck there. It's not like
yeah,
if
no,
he would have been there if he could have been there.
yeah,
That
exactly.
that happens a lot in a lot of stories. I think that's one. Isn't Interstellar kind of like that? He goes up into outer space. Um, like parents get for whatever reason, their drama takes them away, and it's not like that's a tough one. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
You like look at the Pinocchio guy, Geppetto. He just ends up in a whale somehow. Like
Seriously. Some bad parents I that came to mind for me are Kate and Peter McAllister in Home Alone.
Oh yeah, no, for sure.
That's leaving their kid first at home, and then they leave him in, like on vacation somewhere too. In the second movie,
No, what in the first one, he causes like normal kid trouble, and they totally forget that he's at home.
yeah, just ignore like forget it. I mean, granted, they did
It,
have a lot of people at the house.
yeah,
It's fair,
yeah.
but
I mean, you kind of get it, but at the same time, like they're in the plane too for on their way to France before they're and there's like, hey, did we forget something? Oh no, maybe did you leave the garage unlocked? No, I didn't. Oh, did you turn off the toaster? Like they go through this whole list of things before finally they're like, oh wait a minute, we left our 8-year-old child at home by himself. And then was it like the second one? They're going. I don't know where they're going, but somehow Kevin follows the wrong person, thinking it's his dad,
that's right.
and he ends up in New York. And he's just like in New York all by himself. Just that's safe. Yeah, they're pretty terrible parents. They're definitely like the worst.
Yeah, good old Kevin McAllister.
You know what I think we we should one of us needs to use Kevin McAllister in our throwdowns.
Dude, he would be good because like this isn't the Throwdown podcast. Speaking of, hey, if you haven't listened to our Unlikely Throwdowns podcast, you should check it out. Hey, Kevin,
Agreed, definitely.
definitely. But he would be a good one. He's a good trap setter. How do we feel about Odin from Thor? Good or bad?
He seems all right. He's like the king of the gods.
Got a lot of responsibility.
He's got a lot of responsibility going. Plus, what about his like Zeus? Like mythology and stuff. He's kind of a terrible parent.
Yeah, he's not great. He's not great. I mean, I don't. I'm not. It's been a while since taken those kinds of classes in school, but from what I remember, he was not the kindest to his children. Um, and didn't he have some like he had lots of children from different. I can't remember. I don't want
Yeah.
to speak falsely about.
Ooh. Okay. So I know a pretty terrible parent.
Yeah,
Um, Cobra Commander.
he has kids.
He is a parent in
I
the
didn't.
comic book. In the comic books, he is.
Interesting.
He has a son named Billy who he just sort of abandons as he like starts running Cobra, but Billy like still lives like amongst the Cobra in like
What
Springfield.
a way to grow up, man. Oof.
And well, at one point in the old comic book, Billy like I think it's Destro and the Baroness. Maybe it wasn't Destro, but a couple people tried to utilize Billy to assassinate Cobra Commander
Huh.
because Cobra has like their version of the Hitler Youth. They have like their own little
Yeah.
boy scouting program.
Yeah.
So Billy's part of that, and they're doing some ceremony with Cobra Commander's there, and so they have Billy supposed to go up, like they convince him to go up. The plan is during this ceremony to go up to Cobra Commander and shoot him.
Yeah.
And
Interesting.
Billy's like, he's like a, I don't know, probably like a 10-year-old. Like he's not very old. And then so Cobra Commander like ends up having him arrested. At one point in time, he kind of leaves him for dead. Like, yeah, he's a pretty terrible parent. Cobra Commander is not great.
So, and that's really interesting. That's like you got some really cool like dynamics going on in that tale. I've read some of the GI Joe comic books. Like compared to like people hear GI Joe and they're like, oh, it's just like it's kind of some dorky thing, but there's some like really compelling story arcs and like some deep stuff in there. I remember I took this intro to fiction. No, what was it? I don't know, some class in college, and I was so mad because he had us read V for Vendetta, which was awesome. Like, oh, this is cool. He's like open minded to having comic books as a medium for writing that is worth discussing. I was like, oh, cool. So I read that, and he's like, and during that discussion, he's like, what other comics have you read that? And people were like, oh, there's one called Mouse. It takes a bunch of mice and talks about like d- concentration camps and
Yeah,
like
no, yeah, I've heard of that one. I
uh,
haven't read
and
it, but I've heard of it.
and there's like the Watchmen, but like all these like kind of more like literary things that people really respect in that world. And I was like, oh, GI Joe's really cool. He's like, oh yeah. He didn't give me the time of day about GI Joe, and I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah, people,
man,
people do. They always consider GI when they think of GI Joe. Well, we were talking about parents, but they were talking about you always think of the cartoon, which
or yeah, or they
but
connected to Transformers or something.
yeah, but the comic book, yeah, the old comic book has a lot of interesting things, a lot of adult themes and stuff in it too.
Yeah.
Like more serious things happen in the comic book than in the cartoon.
Speaking,
Like
yeah,
Cobra is legitimately a threat in the comic book.
yeah. Speaking of like comic book parents, I think Splinter for the Turtles, he's
Oh
pretty cool.
yeah, he's
He,
pretty good, man. Though, what's interesting about Splinter? All right, so I haven't read the original Ninja Turtle comic books, but from my understanding, the whole reason why he trained the four turtles to be ninjas was specifically to get revenge on the Shredder.
oh, interesting. Oh yeah, that's
So
right. I remember this when I did the Shredder Throwdown with you. We talked about this. There's some girl involved, I think.
yeah.
Yeah, I
So
remember this now.
like, and you look at cartoons, and you think of Splinter as being like this pretty good parent, because he like cares about his kids, teaches them to defend themselves. He knows that society he's not going to accept them as turtles. But in a comic book, he's kind of a terrible parent because he like adopts these kids specifically to like exact revenge for him. That's pretty messed up.
It is, yeah. I do think there's a new Ninja Turtles movie coming out that looks pretty awesome actually, but I feel like I don't think that's going to be a story arc in the modern Ninja Turtles, but
It's the only time there ever has been is an original comic book.
that's
Like
interesting.
it, I like in some he's more of a fatherly figure than others.
Yeah.
In the 2012 version from Nickelodeon had, he played like a father role for April O'Neil as well.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
That's actually my favorite version of Turtles that I've seen.
Is that
Uh,
I think I remember that one. It's like a cartoon. It was a TV show, right?
yeah, and like April's a teenage girl instead of like an adult reporter or whatever.
Interesting. That's cool.
Um, and she has like a connection to the Krang. And then like I don't know, the dynamics is better. The only thing that weirded me out about that particular series is that the guy who did Donatello's voice in that one was the same guy who did Raphael's voice in the original series. So like when I first watched it,
You're like,
it's
what
like
the?
I was like, why does Donatello sound like Raphael? This is kind of weird.
Hey, you work with
But
what you can get, and I
well,
guess.
they played up on it because they did an episode where they met the original turtles.
Oh, that's cool.
It was like a multiverse sort of thing. And there's a
Yeah.
scene where Raphael's talking to Donatello, and he's like, "Why does your voice sound all weird?" And he's like, "What are you talking about? Your voice sounds weird because it's the same guy."
That's pretty funny, huh? We did a throwdown of Shredder versus Rick Grimes from The Walking Dead. That's where we talked about this before, which makes me perfect segue. Rick Grimes, parent of Carl. I mean, that poor guy has got a lot going on. It's hard to
Yeah, he
take time
does.
to have father son bonding in that world he lived in. Not like then go play catch with a zombie head or something. Like I don't know. It's just, he had a lot of things going against him. I'm sure he
Yeah,
wanted to be a good dad,
yeah, he for
obviously.
sure did. And like he definitely, especially like early on, he was trying to like protect Carl and like, he did a lot to sort of
He
support
even
that.
like supported Carl's mother, even when knowing that, like, oh, this other kid might not be mine. It could be my best friend Shane's. And like, it's just kind of,
Yeah, I would say Rick's a pretty good parent. I mean,
yeah,
considering what he was given, I mean, he really does a lot to try to keep Carl safe. And then of course, at some point, Carl was able to, you know, kind of hold his own.
yeah.
I haven't read the comic books, but
Yeah, I've read like a couple, but it's been a
in
long
the
time.
TV series, like, Carl ends up dying.
Yeah.
And then there's Judith, who, and I believe in the comic books, Judith dies as a baby, but I don't know, I haven't read them, but I think that's what happens. But in the TV show, Judith like kind of she grows up. She's pretty cool. She's pretty cool.
That's cool. Walking Dead needs to end. Um, but
Well,
yes,
Walking Dead has, well, the main series has.
there's
So
more.
the main series ended. I actually watched the entire series.
Wow, you're something. I've met a
Yeah,
lot of people who gave up after a couple
I
seasons.
actually finished it up. The ending was because a lot of the endings like you suck really bad.
Yeah,
Ending on that one wasn't that bad. It was enough for me. Like, I mean, wasn't great, but at the same time, it was like there's more that's going on, but it's resolved. Most of it was resolved. The only thing that's not resolved is like the whole Rick and Michonne thing. But supposedly that's going to get it's
there's
like a movie.
there's a movie coming out. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're like an item. I didn't even know that.
yeah. They're an item, and then like so he ends up getting like
Kind of
disappearing. So she's like looking for him, and that they didn't resolve that in the show.
okay.
Um, and then they did the Fear the Walking Dead, which there's a
That one is ending soon. It's still go. It's like on its final season or something.
yeah, that's just about done. There's some good parents in there too. In the first season.
Not the guy played by Cliff Curtis though, and he kind of like Chris's dad.
Oh yeah. He was okay, but like the mom
She's
Madison,
awesome. She's super cool.
yeah, she's really cool. And then there's a couple other parents later on that are interesting. There actually is a new series of Walking Dead that just came out like last week, I think it started, and it's Negan
Oh, I heard
and
about this. Yeah.
what's her name?
Okay, like
Maggie.
I
Yeah, Negan and Maggie are paired up because Maggie's son gets kidnapped, I guess. I haven't watched it.
this is like before he is in Walking Dead, right? Because didn't he
No,
die? Oh,
no,
he
no.
lives.
Yeah, he lives.
Isn't he
So
like a terrible person?
so he was a terrible person. They kind of put him in a jail cell, and then like years and years later, he ends up helping like the community.
So he has a redemption arc of sorts.
In a way, yeah, he's still pretty terrible, but in a way,
So I
but
keep
in him, and of course Maggie hates him because he killed her husband.
yeah.
So I'm kind of curious how this new series works, since like the
Yeah.
two of them typically aren't friends.
So you killed my husband. I did. All right, that's cool. Let's do this thing.
Well, in the last season, he does. I mean, she still is. They're not like friends or anything, but in the last season, he does end up helping her out,
Hmm.
because like he helps her with her son, like he helps
Gotcha.
save her son, and I think that's kind of the premises of this new series.
So I I know we're talking about parents, but I do have a question. I keep seeing a trailer pop up for that show, the Negan show. There's like a zombie with like 8 heads and like 4 arms walking around. Like, what the heck is that, dude? Is Walking Dead? I thought they were trying
I
to.
don't know.
It's like normal zombies. They weren't doing anything crazy. Maybe they're like a couple zombies glued together. I don't know what it was, but it was like
I,
this looks
I have
really
no idea. Like I
strange.
said, I haven't watched it. I don't know anything about it. I know in the Walking Dead main series, eventually the zombies, some of them do kind of get a little bit smarter. I mean, they're still basically dumb zombies, but some have do start figuring out how to like use some basic tools.
Interesting, dude. Fast forward like 1,000 years, and the zombies end up being like a new perfect human being. Like, and then like they're hunting like the old humans. That could be kind of a cool thing.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking I got a couple more parents I want to hit at you with. Maybe we can do a quick fire round. Jack from The Shining, obviously terrible, obviously a
Yeah.
crazy dude trying to kill his family. Granted, he was insane. Um, but I wouldn't put him down as good parents. A Mother Gothel from Tangled, clearly not great. Um, Keeping her daughter locked up in a tower. Granted, it's not
But Rapunzel's
biological.
actual parents, on the other
They
hand,
were, yeah, they're like
I mean,
good
I wouldn't
people in my
say. I
opinion.
mean, they're like pretty normal.
Yeah, but Mother
No,
Gothel's also awful.
you know what's terrible parents Disney wise is Elsa and Anna from Frozen.
They're not
Granted, their
parents.
parents die. Yeah, no, their parents die,
Oh
but
yeah,
before
parent.
they die, like they purposely keep like Elsa and Anna away from each other.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's pretty.
That's pretty terrible. That's pretty awful.
I mean, they were scared. They didn't know what to do. I don't think it. I don't think there was no foul play involved with that, but it wasn't a great decision.
Yeah, but like Moana's parents are her dad was kind of, you know, didn't quite understand where she was coming from. He was all, stuck in his traditions or whatever. But still overall they loved her. So, her
Yeah,
parents weren't too bad.
I saw this new Elementals movie, Pixar. The fire and the water guy, they both have pretty good families. Very supportive. The fire family is kind of stuck in tradition as well, but he's this classic Disney move. He comes around to the new progressive idea, and yeah, it was cool. Lots of Disney.
Oh,
I think a lot of parents have that. Like they have because it's focused on kids, teenagers. They have this tension in their relationship with their parents, but they resolve it at the end. Like even like Little Mermaid with King Triton, or
yeah, that's
Simba
true.
had his issues with Mufasa. Like they all have like a little bit of like. I think it's just part of growing up, and
I
Disney likes
think
to portray that.
one of the ones that there's a couple that come to mind that kind of did that very well from Pixar.
Yeah,
Turning Red,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
the parent
That's not
child
Pixar, I don't
dynamic.
think, bro. I think
Yeah,
it's
it is.
normal.
Turning
Is it?
Red's turn. Yeah, it is. That dynamic was pretty interesting because the whole thing is like you had this, and I don't know. I guess it's supposedly is common with like some of the more like traditional Chinese American families or whatever. I don't know. Um, but like her mom's kind of stuck in her traditions and doesn't really want her daughter to like be who she is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But her dad on the other hand is like super cool. Like he, kind of
That's usually how it goes. One
encourages her.
parent is
Yeah.
not cool. The other one is cool. That's how Elemental was like that. For the mom was a little more supportive than the dad, and they just like, yeah, it's interesting.
And same thing with like Brave with Mirda.
Yeah,
Same thing. Her mom's all like, "Hey, for the betterment of our kingdom, you really need to do this." And Mirda's like, "I don't really want to get married," and
yeah,
all this stuff like that. And her dad was, I don't know. I think he kind of saw both sides.
yeah. Huh.
But you have other parents too, like Homer and Marge Simpson.
I
Um,
mean,
they're
not
interesting.
not great. Yeah, but that's kind of the whole point, though. He's trying to like, but they're trying to show how that's the humor of it, how bad of a dad he is. But he always comes around at the end of the episode, though. Like he always ends up doing the right thing. Um,
I haven't watched
so
Simpsons in so long.
I mean, I haven't in a long time either. But from what I remember, like he ends up, doing the right thing in the end. But
What I think is funny is when it comes to Simpsons, like my favorite character was different. Um, at different parts points of my life. So when it first came out, like of course every kid likes Bart because
yeah,
he's like he's Bart.
sarcastic,
Yeah.
sassy. Yeah,
And then like I kind of thought Homer was really funny, so I like really liked Homer.
yeah,
But like as an adult with my own children, my favorite character is actually Lisa
yeah. She's
because she's like
mature,
she's the
smart,
only one who
refined.
has any sort of sanity in that whole family.
Um, yeah. Simpsons. It's so long, dude. It's like that thing's been around longer than me, I think. I think it's like
Yeah,
34 years,
yeah, it's been
35
around for
years.
a long time for sure.
Well, there certainly are a lot of good parents in TV movies. We didn't really hit on any video game parents. I can't. Let me think about that for a
Are there a
second.
lot of video game parents?
There's got to be some. Hold up. I haven't
Oh,
played it. Like
we have
God of
Final Fantasy
War.
10. Final Fantasy 10.
Oh yeah, his dad was.
His dad was kind of a jerk.
He was Sin, right?
Yeah.
He was not great. Um,
Or Lord Goda from the Tenchu series.
Lord Coda. You
Lord
going back?
Goda.
You made me
His
think of
daughter
Final.
gets kidnapped and stuff all the time. But he had a whole like, you know, area to control. Like, he's important sort of monarch individual. And he tried to keep his Princess Kiku, that was her name, right? Princess
Yeah,
Kiku. Try to
yeah.
keep her safe. But he can kind of rely on like, hey man, ninja guys, why don't you why don't you
I
take care of my child for me?
I don't think it's a father son, and I'm probably misspeaking here. There's definitely like a mentor mentee thing. The God of War series, I think, kind of explores that
No, I
dynamic a
think that
little
is
bit.
his son. But I've never
Or
played it.
it's like an uncle, or at least some fatherly type of figure. But I've never played those games.
Yeah, I've never played God of War either. What are some other
Video game parents. I mean,
video
there's
game
some side
parents?
characters like Ares from Final Fantasy 7. Her mom is cool. She like adopted her, found her on the street and brought her in.
Yeah.
Um,
The Last of Us, the dude kind of
oh
takes
yeah,
on the role of the parent.
yeah. Well, actually, his. I mean, you've watched so his daughter dies in the
Yeah.
very beginning. So yeah, he's a great example. In fact,
He's kind of a terrible person.
yeah, but he's trying to just protect his own. Um, it's kind of going back to Walking Dead, man. In that world, it's a very similar type of world. You just got to do what you can do, like. But
That's true.
he this show, everyone calls Pedro Pascal. I think because actually, there's another good example of the Mandalorian. Great, he's a good father in Star Wars. Um, but they're like people calling him like daddy and stuff because he's in Last of Us. He's the father like figure in Mandalorian. He's the father like figure.
They're basically the same show. Yeah.
But yeah, that's a great example. How do we miss Mandalorian when we were talking about
How
Star
do we
Wars? Of
miss
course,
Mandalorian?
like
It's
he's a great father. He's
well,
putting his
you
kid in dangerous situations, but it's part of his culture, part of his way. Like he's
yeah, that's
trying to,
true. You can look at it even like Obi-Wan and Anakin. You can kind of see them as sort of a father
yeah.
son sort of situation.
That was
Or
all Anakin. I don't think it's Obi-Wan's fault that Anakin went the way he did.
no, then same with Anakin and Ahsoka. He takes on like it's just not really a parenting, but he's like a mentorship.
Yeah,
Um, Ahsoka's mom's cool.
I don't know. I don't ever. I need to get into that. I
You-
don't know that character like you do.
there's, there's like one episode of like Tales of the Jedi that has her mom in it. It's when Ahsoka's a baby. Um, actually, she's not great. She takes her Ahsoka out hunting with her, and then Ahsoka gets kidnapped by this like giant monster. There's this whole weird thing.
Anakin's mom, she was like cool. She found an opportunity for Anakin to have a better life and was like sacrificed for him. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, I suppose.
The world could have been the galaxy could have been a way different place though if she kept him. Who knows what would have happened?
You got to wonder about like Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru, like
Yeah,
raising Luke.
yeah, that's another good
Like
example.
that I think they tried to keep like they definitely didn't want him becoming a Jedi, and like
Yeah,
they're trying to protect him.
yeah. But when the Force calls you, it just calls you. You can't escape it. It's like
It's the call to
it's your
adventure. So
destiny.
yeah, the call to adventure. It's a mythology thing. We should do a whole episode on Joseph Campbell's writings, but that would be boring for most people, I think. So maybe not.
But anyways, all right, let's wrap it up. What is your favorite? We'll each do our favorite parenting situation. We talked about some. It could be one we mentioned or one we didn't mention. Who's our favorite parent in one of these mediums here, in like a TV, movies, video games? What are we thinking
Favorite
here?
parents?
Other than our own, of course. They're the
No, no,
best.
yeah, I
But
know, I see what you're saying. Honestly, I got to go with Lawrence and Linda from Phoenix and Ferb. Those two just crack me up. Like I would love to have them as parents. They're so weird and so like goofy, but they still are, very supportive and care about their kids and all that. So yeah,
yeah,
they're pretty good. Although Uncle Stan from Gravity Falls is pretty good too. He's probably close second.
I've heard good things about him. Um, I think he's not really he's a parent in a way. I think I'm gonna go with Alfred from Batman. I think he's looking
Oh
out.
yeah, that's a good
He's
one
he's
actually.
a very good he cares for Bruce as a father, and I don't know, he's like the one person Bruce will like. He still doesn't always listen to Alfred, but like he's the one person that's close to Bruce Wayne, and I think it showcases that.
I like how they handle that with did you see the Lego Batman movie?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
when he's when he's all like telling Alfred, he's like, you don't know what it's like to have, to like take a kid in and at like an orphan as your own and try to be a parent. It's like Alfred did the same thing for Batman. I just thought it was funny. It was a funny scene.
But
It's an underrated movie for sure. Lego Batman's pretty good. I think it might be my favorite Lego movie actually.
but anyway, this was a good discussion. I got some sage of wisdom from David last time we met. I got a little bit of wisdom from you, and now I have all these parents I could just watch or play or read about to kind of let me figure out. And maybe I should be like Din Djarin and take my kid out
Just don't be like Cobra Commander because that dude
and
was a terrible
take my kid
parent.
out and be a Mandalorian, or maybe I should be like Alfred and encourage her to have a bat cave.
For
So,
sure. Batcave.
all right, dude. Well, this is fun. And folks, thanks for listening, hanging out with us. Check out our other podcast, Unlikely Throwdowns. It's pretty great, I think. Kevin, you like it?
Yeah, so far, we definitely had our weirdest throwdown of all. Well, I don't know. I'm trying to determine because if we go back to like the earlier seasons of this podcast, Brothers Born podcast, we did a couple of those unlike throwdowns. Taking all our throwdowns all together, I think the two most bizarre ones were, of course, Boba Fett versus Mr. Magoo,
Absolutely.
and then with the new podcast, unlike throwdowns, we had Captain Hook versus Chase from Paw Patrol, and
Yes.
that was definitely a bizarre one.
Yes. I've sort of discovered some other people like the epic rap battles of history. There's a Reddit thread about who would win. And they take characters that are similar, like Terminator versus RoboCop. That's cool. But I think we are the only ones who've ever done Mr. Magoo versus Boba Fett or Captain Hook versus Chase from Paw Patrol.
For
Some of the other
sure.
ones might have some overlap. Like I wouldn't be surprised if someone put Poison Ivy versus Ms. Marvel somewhere else. But we try to do unique ones, and I think it's fun. It makes it for a really
Or
interesting
James
discussion.
Bond versus Mario.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So check that podcast out. Kevin, tell them a little bit about our website. What do we got going on there?
Well, our website was designed by you. Um,
Thanks.
so so we have a website you can go to for sure, and you can click on all the links to listen to our shows, both Brothers Born podcasting episodes as well as the Unlike Throwdown episodes. We also have a blog on there that I believe you started
Yeah, there's only
doing.
one post right now, but we're working on it, baby. It's gonna be
Yeah,
good.
it's a work in progress, but it's definitely a place you can go to get all of our content. And actually, I have a bone to pick with you about that one.
Uh-oh.
So on our little bios, Steven wrote those, and he wrote mine. He said, "I'm a wannabe Texan. I'm not a wannabe Texan. I'm a legit Texan." I might not be from here,
You have an
but I
Ohio
have a legit
driver's license, don't you?
I have a Texas driver license.
You have an
I have
Ohio phone number.
I do have an Ohio phone number.
There it
Yes.
is.
That is the one thing I have left over from Ohio. Everything else for me, I'm registered to vote here. My address is here. My license is here. Everything's from Texas, man.
Yep. Kevin thinks he's Texan. It's cool.
All right, so
But,
throw out that name of our website.
yeah. Oh, www.brothersbornmedia.com.
There you go.
Check it out. That's good. You can email us there. You can check out the blog or the podcast. There's going to be more stuff. We're working on a few other things. Our plan is to keep everything there. We also, of course, we're on Facebook, facebook.com/brothersbornmedia. And we're working on getting into some other things too, as far as social media is concerned. But and of course, let me tell you a little bit about if you want to support us. There's a link on the website. There's also, if you go to our podcast site, our hosting site, you can, if you want to, you can donate either 99 cents a month, $4.99 a month, or $9.99 a month. We don't expect you to do this, but we sure would be grateful if you wanted to.
For sure, and it's important. It helps us. Extra money helps us get equipment to better improve our content. We're also looking at maybe doing a couple other shows possibly in the future, and so it would definitely help with that as well.
Yep, we got big ideas. We just need time and money. That's the
two things that we have very little of.
curse of our generation.
So true.
All right, everybody. We'll catch you next time. Kevin always forgets to say farewell.
I think you got it covered.
We'll catch you next time.
Yep. Goodbye.